Good afternoon. My name is Dan Dugan.
And I'm Sarah Buck. And we're really excited to be here tonight with the Utah Clean Energy Gala event. What a great organization, and we're all privileged to be part of that great organization.
I've brought you to my neighborhood, and we are in the International Peace Gardens. And the whole purpose of the International Peace Gardens is to talk about equity and to talk about diversity and to talk about how we should work together as a community.
Hi, I'm Alex Honnold. I am a professional rock climber and the founder of the Honnold Foundation, and I'm speaking to you today from South Lake Tahoe, California, which actually you should be able to see the lake behind me, but it's also incredibly gray here because the sun is blotted out by all the smoke from the recent forest fires in California.
We're here today talking to you on a beautiful October day after a summer of extended dry conditions and record-setting temperatures.
I stand here in the shadows and in the protection of our ancestral mountains. The mountains called by our ancestors Tawhiti Tangata Pikikirunga Te Iwi Tuararo o Te Rangi.
I am a pediatric emergency medicine physician at Primary Children's Hospital and the director of Global and Rural and Underserved Child Health at the University of Utah School of Medicine.
The reason why I'm talking to you today is about climate change and how it disproportionately impacts communities of color. The air we breathe in Salt Lake City is not the same. The further west you go, the more industry you find, and you see kids who have asthma, you see all kinds of other disparities. And so these are some things that when we're talking about climate change, we also need to acknowledge that there are other barriers for many in our community.
Climate change is recognized as the #1 public health threat currently facing us. And that's quite significant if you consider what's going on right now in the world. As a global child health expert and just as a physician and a father, it's imperative that I take action on climate change.
In ancient times, we were given the charge of taking care of both our Sky Father and our Earth Mother. On this day, I weep and I mourn for my relatives who live in the far distant islands of the Pacific, islands that are disappearing because of the ever-increasing levels of the sea.
Climate change is certainly the most pressing issue of my lifetime, certainly of this generation. Though in a way, it's also a tremendous opportunity to sort of remake the world in a slightly more equitable way. I mean, that's certainly what we're trying to do at the Honnold Foundation, is to use renewable energy, in our case specifically solar power, to not only reduce human emissions and hopefully prevent the worst of climate change, but also to make sure that the right people, people who have been historically disadvantaged, are able to have access to energy.
So what really makes me hopeful for the future, even with understanding so much of this very dystopian idea with climate change, is that we have a large young generation of people who are radically advocating for environmental, social justice on all platforms and connecting these different single issues and realizing that holistically these are all very much so intertwined.
I mean, it's a little bit cliche, but it does seem like any big challenge is also an opportunity to redo things better. And that's kind of what I hope we do through climate change.
And even though the scale of the problem seems daunting and almost too big to comprehend, I know that collectively we can face challenges and we can make improvements.
The younger generation gives me hope. They don't like what they're seeing, and they're demanding clean air, clean water, and a clean environment. And we've taught them they can have anything they want if they put their minds to it. And they're demanding, and they want it, and they are going to be the change we want to see in the world.
What gives me hope is having the opportunity to teach the next generation about energy alternatives.
What's been really fun too for me is getting to shape these two young, beautiful minds, teaching them that energy doesn't just come from fossil fuels. They've both been raised at a young age seeing solar panels on their toys and on our house. They've seen cars that plug into the wall as opposed to in the gas station, and that's what they know. I think they're truly the first generation that's the norm, and that's really exciting to me and to both of us.
Let our stories and beliefs speak for themselves when it comes to climates, when it comes to looking after our planet, when it comes to climate concerns and climate control.
Climate change can be mitigated, can be fixed, as well as these other things like sexism, racism, classism.
The time, the technology, and the energy is here. I encourage you all to get engaged, get educated, and be part of the change.
This year we're going to increase our donation because there's an increased need for the work that they're doing. We can all see it and feel it. So take a moment to consider all the ways clean energy affects your life and dig deep tonight. Dig deep so that you don't have to wonder if you could have done more.
We can't wait, we can't fail, we must act now.